never using it again. But these are bizarre, random stories.
What's your fondest memory of your time in Milwaukee?
That's a switch. My entire community of friends. Just growing up with all these different families who were involved in social justice and inclusive and opened my perspective on a lot of things. And working at a school that was so committed to its community. Meeting Joseph and Sarah. Milwaukee was great.
What memories do you have of Marietta College?
Drugs, more drugs. No, not really. No, it was a radical departure from Westchester County to go to rural southern Ohio to go to school. It was a really small liberal arts school and really easy to navigate. I really was stimulated by my courses, both in foreign languages and sociology, anthropology, and I don't know.
Why do you think you ended up at Marietta? Just geographically and.
I can tell you, Mom said the farthest I could go away was Ohio. So that influenced me. The guidance counselor recommended it. When I visited, it was like just really totally different than, for example, American University. Like it couldn't have been more polar. I think Middlebury was like sort of my long shot where I thought I wanted to go. But I don't know, rural Ohio, look, I got Fiesta as a result. Antiques. It was just different.
So you graduated with.
Early, in December. I went to summer school all the time. I just love courses. Okay.
A natural student. And she did so well.
But you graduated undergrad with a what degree?
I had 2 majors and 2 minors. I was a Spanish and sociology major, and French and psychology minor.
And you decided to go to grad school?
I did.
Right away? Did you know?
We moved to Kent. I was accepted into the sociology PhD program.
Now you said we.
Do we have to go there?
I think
Yeah.
we should mention it. It's part of your life. You wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that.
Louise and I ran away and we went to Vermont. And I spent a year trying to figure out what did I want to do because graduate school wasn't, at least that graduate school wasn't for me. I wasn't a researcher, but that's the kind of program I had chosen. And obviously left a marriage. One of 3, I think, 2 losers and then the third one was a charm. But yeah, Louise and I spent a year in Vermont doing all kinds of service work, like chambermaid, waitress, and that was on the weekends, and we'd ski during the week, cross country, and I started exploring Montessori. Left Vermont, went to Milwaukee to get it chronologically right. Milwaukee was after graduate school.
Yeah, I know that.
And so I went to Hildegard. I shared an apartment for a year with Paul Nannis, who's still my friend from Marietta.
Do you remember actually the thing that I'm sort of curious about is what was the first touch of Montessori?
My sociology professor's children at Marietta.
Okay.
He had 5 children, and the youngest 2 were adopted and younger, obviously. And I went to see them at their little Marietta Montessori school. It was run by nuns, and totally amazed by how they were learning and what they were thinking about and how articulate they were. And
So after Vermont, you realized you didn't want to do research. You felt that you needed a PhD.
no, that was before that. The sociology was before Vermont. When I went to Vermont, I explored Montessori, and that's when I went to Milwaukee.
Okay. What got you to Kent State?
Marietta College. I thought I was going to do sociology as
Yeah.
a PhD.
Yeah.
You wanted me to talk about a particular person?
No,
Okay.
I want you to just. Now, when you and Art met through the newspaper,
Through the free times.
free times, and I always say to myself, I would never have lasted as long as Art in the courtship period.
Oh, you mean like waiting for me?
Yeah, so why don't you
100 hours.
bring us up to date on your philosophy of finding a significant other, which ultimately led to Art. But you had a strategy. Can
So
you?
I was 42 years old. I was feeling like I had been burned many times and very gun shy. I was certain that I was not going to initiate another relationship, that I always put in too much energy and didn't allow the other person to kind of court me, you know. I broke all the rules, but I at least had those ideas. Every time Art and I talked on the phone, I took notes and asked him a million questions. I had to figure out if this man's from Long Island, is he wearing a gold chain around his neck? And a lot of people can't see this, but they wear a gold chain, right? But, you know, I was like, I'm not into that. And his ad, which I did respond to, in spite of myself, I responded to his ad.
So you initiated it.
Exactly, I'm saying I didn't take my own advice. I tried not to, but all these ads were like sick. You know, they were like, if you want burns all over your body, call me. You know, his was the only one that was kind of like not violent and sadistic. So he said something about if you like good beer and walks in the forest or something like that. A few things like that. You know, I'm like, okay, so he's probably an alcoholic, and who knows what's going to happen in the forest, you know? Anyway. Yeah, he was really tolerant. He answered lots of questions. He encouraged me, you know, I said, how do I know if I should go out with more people than just you? And what if a date doesn't go well? How do you end it? I asked him for a whole bunch of advice, you know?
Over how long a period?
It probably was like a month and a half before we met. I don't know. He says it was 100 hours of phone time. He said, why don't we just meet and get this over with? And so we met on a Wednesday night at Great Lakes Brewing Company. It's the only time ever that I was somewhere first. When he walked in, my heart just jumped out of my chest. I was like, oh my God, how can it be that you just see somebody and you know? But I looked at him and I was like, oh my God, he's the one. And
Love at first.
it was.
And you knew it was Art.
Yeah.
You just sensed that was the guy I've been talking to for 100 hours.
So like I said, it was in the middle of summer training. It was a Wednesday night. I said, you know, I'll meet you for one beer. So Art was like, I'm not going to say anything about let's get a second one, or, you know. And finally I said, you think we should have another beer? And he was like, yes. And then, you know, we met there. Like, he didn't know my last name or anything. And on the way home, he left me a voicemail saying what a nice night it was, and oldest trick in the book, he says. You know. the next day, John Sperling was in town, so the next day, we had a second date at the art museum. And
With John or not?
John was going to go around the museum, and Art and I were going to have lunch together. And Art was all dressed up, and everybody from his office like, what's going on? You know? So we just had lunch, and then he left, and then I met up with John, and I said, I'm starving. And he said, didn't you just have lunch? And I said, no, I was too nervous to eat. And John was spying on us, and that's kind of the beginning. My friends Tim and Kathy knew it was really serious when, I think it was our fourth date. Art was coming up the, front porch in Cleveland, and I like jumped across the table and, went like flying to the door, and they were like, Joan stepped on the table. Like, she never did stuff like that. She's lost it. So anyway.
How long did you date before he proposed?
I think it was a year and a half. It might have been. We met in 94, we married in 97. 53197.
What during that year and a half? Did you have conflict where you broke up and then we got back together, or was it?
Never. We had funny stories, like he'd say, well, I think we should live together, and I said, bring your microwave over. Bring your microwave over and then we'll talk. So the next time he came forward, his microwave was in the back seat, and he was like, I was only kidding, or when I was looking at the house on Bradford, I said, could you imagine living here? He said, well, this isn't about me, this is, about you. What do you think? I think we did pretty well. I wish for 22 more.
Do you believe that the first two marriages were necessary to be where you are
I think
today?
the first 100 guys that were part of that, whether I was married to them or not, were part of it. Not only was there 2 marriages, I think it was a whole history of people.
But do you live by the philosophy that
We would have been, if we had met each other when we were younger, it wouldn't have been the right time.
so everything happens for a reason?
Developmentally, we weren't ready, And I think also one of the things that, as much as it's really wonderful for people to raise a family together, I think there's something very different about a relationship after the children are grown. So that neither of us were, I shouldn't say, Art was actively parenting, but it was a visiting dad, with Faith and Rachel, and I didn't raise them. And in some ways, he missed out on that too. So I think our dating really allowed it to be about the 2 of us. And it would have been different had we had children. And so I think in terms of, if you call it a more mature time, or a different developmental time of a relationship. I don't know. But I think, I think I found my soulmate. I feel like when I first met Art, I felt like we were, without it sounding incestuous, I felt like we were related like old tribe cousins. I don't know, he felt so familiar.
Comfortable. You were comfortable together.
We still
Did
are.
he feel the same way?
Does he?
Like when he met you, did he know right away too?
Yeah, good
Yeah.
question.
We'll have to get him down here to hear what he says, but I think so. I think,
So what-
he was nervous that I would be that I wouldn't stick around, I don't know. No, he's mellowed me out so much, or I just feel like I don't know if he's mellowed me out, I feel like I just felt so supportive, like he's just been so even for me,
Do you
And
think there's a
I
few?
think the other piece is just that he respected my work and I respect his work. I think we both really admire what each of us has done. And in terms of types of work, so that's good.
There was no competition between you. You weren't competing with
Yeah.
each other, which so often does happen in a marriage. It's a competition. There wasn't any in your relationship.
No, I've always felt supported. And even just big decisions like, should I go away to Australia for close to, 2.5 months at a time? That's a long time to be apart and hard. And you always said, oh, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I always have said, no, it's got a strain by doing that. But any of those decisions are, I don't know if I'd say he pushed it, but he was like,
Encouraged.
you have to do this. This is an opportunity to, I think we should go for it. So that's a lot of support. All right, you want
Based on your experience, what would you say to somebody listening who's in a relationship?
Oh,
What do you contribute? What are some of the things that you contribute such a strong relationship that you have?
in addition to what I've mentioned, the support and the believing in each other?
Yeah. How?
Um,
What tools do you have today that you didn't have, in
Well,
the
I don't know-
past? Or
I don't know that this is, I'm not going that direction. You gave me a question before that I think one of the things that we both really honor in each other is our separateness. It's not like we're inseparable. It's like Art's got his fraternity and that's not threatening to me. He has a different relationship with his daughters. I just feel like I feel like a lot of my friends have become our friends. I also feel like I haven't given up my autonomy or my separate interests, or it's like, I don't know. So I think to be able to